Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Welcome back to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit. My name is Daniel Martinez Stahl. We are on Season 4, Episode 7, the first session of Day 3. Super excited to have Susann back with us. She was with me on Season 1, and so she's back to play with us again, which is always so much fun. So Susann, welcome back. I will let you introduce yourself, and then we will go from there.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm honored to be here, and I guess I get to introduce myself. All right. What would you like me to give a whole story, or just
how little or however much you're inspired to share about yourself is all that we need. It can be as little as, hi, my name is, happy to be here, or you can talk to us a little bit about, who you are and what you do, whatever you feel inspired to share.
I'll do a little bit more. Susann Taylor Shier, and I have been doing what I do now in a variety of ways for over 30 years. And it's called Soul Mastery. Soulmastery.net. If Curious Georges here want to go, I got to look that up, see what it's all about. Before that, I did energy work, like Reiki. It was attunement. So I have been in this field since I can remember. That was right out of college that I did energy work for many years. So soul mastery, people could say, well, how do you master your soul? Well, you don't master your soul. You master coming from your soul, being able to be guided by your soul. And that's what I help people be able to do, is be guided by your soul. And that includes your beautiful heart as well. So I've found lots and lots of ways from books that I've written. I do retreats, I do trainings, I do workshops, immersions, private clients, all sorts of things to help you be guided by your soul and learn intuition. We talked about that last time, and that was a lot of fun, to connect to learn some more tools about how to connect to your intuition. And I'm writing a book about that as well right now. So I'm just keep creating. When the soul shines, it gives you all sorts of avenues for creation. And I just love that. So I will keep doing it.
Beautiful. And this actually ties into the subject that you shared with us, that you and your team wanted to kind of talk about. And so it's the year to go for your soul purpose and destiny revealed. Set your soul free. And so, of course, we can talk more about this throughout the conversation, but I would love to just get started with having you share with us what that means to you.
Well, what that means to me is excitement, because everything for me is about the soul. And it's about time that the astrologists, numerologists, and everybody that talks about what this year is about gets on board with the soul. Now, it means for me that we're deepening into a more beautiful space in ourselves. And it means to me that we have done a lot of transformational work. Now, if you are feeling right now that you're still in the transformational process, that's part of life. But you're learning how to do it from a more soulful place. And this is the year to tap into more of that, so that that sense of what you've always dreamed of, what you feel is part of your destiny, what you know is yours to bring forward. It's like, can I really start doing that now? And the answer is yes. From the heavens, from the universe, from everything that there is, the answer is Yes, you can move into that. Is it no accident that it's just past, so to speak, the era of the last pandemic? Uh, I'd say so. I think there's something to that because we've moved a lot of energy and now it's time to come into what I call destiny. Now, does that mean that destiny is something you set up before you came into this planet? No. I believe it's not all written in stone already, but there are certain propensities towards where we're headed. For instance, I had no idea I was going to be writing books. Okay, I wish I'd had an English degree to be able to do that because I didn't. Like, what? But my destiny was to teach and share and bring wisdom and connect people with their soul. And books are a great way to do that. And teaching is a great way to do that. So there's infinite possibilities of how you can come from your soul because your soul is connected to the field of abundance, the quantum field your soul is connected to. So we're getting more into that at this time, and that's very exciting. Your unique blueprint, so to speak. Don't get into your head and start going, well, what is my blueprint? What is my destiny? When you go into your heart, it's like what I say to people when I talk about your soul gifts. Okay. And I do readings with people to access their soul gifts and help them understand those gifts and be able to access them directly. But I will say to a person to start with that your gifts are something that you know are essences inside, that you've already been providing and conveying. I'll give myself as an example. When I was in high school, I became a cheerleader. Okay. So before that, I was pretty quiet and numb and just nobody. And all of a sudden, as my soul started coming forward, which I believe happens in puberty, I became a cheerleader for a football team, high school football. It gave me a chance to let myself shine. So ever since then, I've been what I call a divine cheerleader. So the essence of cheerleader was always in there, and I've used it from a divine standpoint to expand all that I am. So essences of you came out a long time ago, and those are things you can look at as part of your gifts. And you can say, well, I'm a kind person. That's not enough. And I would go, oh, it's a lot. In this world right now, kindness, oh my gosh, genuine kindness is a gift. So you see how that works? So you can start to look at what your essences are, which are your soul gifts. And therefore you bring forward as a destiny, a mission.
There's a couple of things that I want to kind of touch on that you've shared, but first and foremost, I know that some people have this resistance to the word destiny. I had a conversation not too long ago with someone that was like, ooh, destiny. And it was like this like 4-letter word. And so I kind of wanted to demystify this a little bit and I'll share my thoughts of what destiny is. And then I would love to hear what you think as well. So for me, when people talk about destiny, what I reference to is the idea that we come into this physical form with a idea of what it is that we want to play with, what we want to explore, what we want to experience. And we fall into a most probable path. That most probable path is what I refer to as my destiny. And then that shifts and changes based on my choices. And then I fall into another most probable path. And so I don't believe that destiny is fixed in stone, but I do believe that there are paths that we go on that align more with what we want to accomplish, with who we are as a human, as a soul, as an energy being. And so that for me is how I would kind of describe destiny to someone. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, great. I'm right there with you. Tell me what you mean by probable path, because that tripped me up. The word probable is like probable path. Whose idea of probable is that?
And okay, so probable path. Energy is flowing in a direction. There's a momentum to the energy.
Uh-huh.
The energy is orchestrated and played with by an army of amazing beings that help to kind of keep things and move things in a direction that is aligned with the greater good, whoever defines whatever the greater good is of the universe. You know, we'll call it source energy, we'll call it whatever we want, right? But there's a lot of energy that goes into pointing us in a specific direction, both individually and collectively. And part of that is the choices that we made as a higher self when we chose this life. We chose a contract, which is a word that I don't like to use. We chose kind of lessons that we want to work on. We have agreements, and, you know, there's a lot of different words around. We chose the life that we are coming here to live. And the energy, the momentum of life is leading us in that direction. But because we are gifted with the ability of free will, we can change paths at any point in time. And so we shift from our current most probable path, which is this is where you are pointing to, this is where you are aligned to go in your journey. And then I kind of get to an intersection and I go, you know what, let me shift over here. And then I shift, and then people will say that one timeline continues with that direction. I can't speak to that too much because I'm not an expert in that space, but some people will say that we live multiple timelines based on the decisions that we make and that they continue existing. And so we choose to go in this direction. And then as we make that choice, then the energies all get together and go, okay, what does this mean for Daniel's lessons, for the people that he was going to connect with? Let's see how we can orchestrate everything. And then they kind of, you know, play in the background to play with the energies so that you and I meet when we were supposed to meet, or maybe a year later, if you and I agreed to get together and play as divine playmates. And so that's what I mean by probable path. It's kind of the energy of life that is most likely intended to play with and to explore, but then there's flexibility within that.
Great. I agree with that. Here's an example I love to use for people as it relates to probabilities at a soul level is the essences that you bring. So think of Mark Zuckerberg, and I know everybody has their opinions about his personality, etc. Before he was born, was it designed that he would set up Facebook? No, there was no such thing as Facebook at that moment in time. That possibility was not even in the field. But he did sign on, or in his probable path was, I'm going to change mankind in a huge way. And my bent is to bring people together through communication or whatever that is. And then this idea came to him as a way to do that. So that's why, and Daniel and I are on the same page. That's why when we look at it from the soul perspective, it's like endless possibilities of how that can play out depending on the time frame and the space that the world is in, etc. And more now, we're in a place of less design set up because it depends on the speed of how the collective moves forward, and the way it moves forward will depend what lane we want to be, what our most probable path is at that moment in time. So for instance, 20 years ago, probably longer than that, climate change was not a thing. So people who were concerned about the earth might get into something that related to nature. Now it's climate change. So we have to get into a bigger realm of what our soul is here for, that loves the earth, loves nature, all of that. It's like, if I love nature, and that's a part of my soul pulsation, now it's climate change that I might get interested in to be able to help move that field of nature and life thriving into a larger scenario. That would be like a soul destiny, to get into a bigger arena with the things that you love.
Beautiful. And so if we kind of continue to kind of expand on this a little bit, bringing it back to kind of the subject that you propose for us to kind of play around. This year, I keep on hearing, is a year of the master. It's the year of creation. It's the year of the beginning of great things. You talked about how this is the year of the soul. I would love to kind of, again, hear a little bit more about what that means for you, what you've heard from your team, whatever you got.
Sure. Well, for great things to happen, as I mentioned earlier, we have to go to a deeper dimension of ourselves, right? If our life has been dicey or fair or good, that's great. But for great change to happen, I mean, that's fine. But for great change to happen, where are we going to get the deeper resources to move into greater passion and purpose and sense of greatness and mastery? We go into more of our soul dimensions, and our soul lives inside. Our soul is here, our soul is everywhere. It's all of us. It's just those deeper dimensions of ourselves. And we can talk more about that, but that's, to me, what's important, along with the flexibility of what I call innovation. It's a year of innovation and initiation. So it's, when you think of innovation, it's like, I've got to get out of myself and the way I've been doing things and move to a whole new level and take some risks. And that is mastery, taking some risks, right? There isn't anybody that we look at that is a master, whether it's in a sport, a cook, a spiritual leader, that hasn't had to take risks and move into larger dimensions of themselves beyond their comfort zone. So it's a time for that. And it may be right now that you're feeling like you're up against some of these resistances and a sense of the burden of life. One of the things that I'm also aware of is we're moving out of, when we talk about great things happening, the phrase that has come to me recently is, we're moving out of this sense of life being a burden. And the last few years, it's felt like that, right? And we could stay in that mode for a long time. Oh my God, we've got this to take care of, and this to take care of, and that to take care of. And there's all this going on, and our own issues are up, and the world is changing, and that's a burden, right? So we hold this old pattern of burden instead of the feeling of greatness, which is life is a fiesta. How's that for a fun word we don't use very often? But that's where we're going from life is a burden, which we've all felt, or certain areas of our lives are a burden. Finances are a burden, etc. We talk about fear of recession. We're afraid the whole area is going to be a burden, right? Versus a joy or creation, a joy to create in. Life is a fiesta, and working with our financial world is a fiesta. What a concept. Does that sound like Pollyanna? Does that sound like spiritual bypass? It could, but it's not. It's just coming from a whole different approach, because as souls, we are grand creators. You're in a soulful place when you're creating and not in survival. So you can start from that point and come out of the burden of, I'm just making my life work, which is up to us how we see it, to, oh, wow, I am a grand creator. What do I want to create and experience now? Then you're talking fiesta. I'll stop there because I could do long sentences.
Yeah, well, take a look at the message I sent you in chat while I kind of talk a little bit. So Caroline puts a note in the chat that reminds me to invite anybody that is here with us to feel free to interact with us, ask questions, raise your hand if you want, put questions in the chat, you know, whatever, however you guys want to play with us, we're here to play with you. So Caroline mentions that this is how she felt. I know that a lot of us in the last couple of years have felt the change in energy from how things have been and to how things are going. And you talk about playing from a space of joy or creating from a place of joy. And for people that may not know what that means, how do you help somebody begin to point themselves in that direction?
Okay, great. And what you wrote to me, I don't know how to do that. So that's my answer. I'm like, what? But I do know how to help people point in the direction of joy. Okay. So the first cue is creation. Now, some people think, oh, to be a creator, you have to be an artist, musician, dancer, artistic. Artistic is creation. Everything can be creation. So start with, to get to joy, you have to be in that field of creation. So I invite you right now to consider something that you enjoy creating. It could be as simple as I love going to the grocery store and going down the particular aisle. I love going to farmers markets. Okay. So think of something you enjoy. Maybe it's sleeping, right? Maybe it's sleeping. Oh, I can't wait till I get to sleep tonight. You could wake up with that feeling. People do, you know, we all have, right? Exactly. In that moment, you are feeling a sense of, yes, it feels like relief to start with, but it's a sense of, oh, yes, I get to sleep tonight. Just make it through this day and sleep. And you feel that yes to something that you are maybe looking forward to. It's like, oh, wait, no, I'm supposed to be in the present moment. In the present moment, you are evoking a sense of something that you want to create, and it brings you joy. Or you know that at some point during the day, you get to have your treat or your coffee or whatever it is. It evokes joy. Hold on to that and go, yeah, when I feel that sense of, oh my gosh, tonight I'm going to go to bed early. It's going to be great. I have no commitments, whatever that is. Okay. Feel that, hold that as a meditation. I'm going to hold that all day long. I'm going to hold that all day long. Ooh, sleep. Yes. All those little things and start to build on that. Then you bring that joy, which it is, the joy of creating, which you've just created, is something you desire, and you're creating it right now, the joy of sleeping for yourself. You bring that with you in your day, and it starts to ripple into the joy of being in your day. Right? See how that works, Daniel, and everybody?
I was listening to an audio not too long ago of an interview that Wayne Dwyer did of Abraham Hicks. And Abraham was speaking of this idea that what we focus our thoughts on for 18 seconds
yes.
gives it a tangible creation.
Yes.
And when we focus on it again, then it becomes more tangible. And when we focus on it again, it becomes more tangible. Every 18 seconds, we're raising that level of tangibility. And what you were saying reminded me of that, because Abraham talked about how when we wake up, our momentum of thought is at zero because we're just coming into a fresh day. Our minds are blank. And we can use that opportunity to begin our day with a momentum that is going to then build throughout the day. And I love that invitation. I mean, we can shift our moment, we can shift our thinking and our experience at any point in time. But what Abraham was pointing to, and it made sense to me, is that there's a momentum that you're fighting against if you try and shift something after it's already been created. It's easier to just start from zero and say, okay, I'm going to start my day, feeling really great, or thinking about the things that I want to create, thinking about the things that I want to bring into my life. And, if thoughts creep in that aren't necessarily what you want to focus on, well, you've got 18 seconds to stop thinking about them. And I love that invitation, because a lot of times, when we're manifesting, people say to us, don't think negative thoughts. And well, we all think negative thoughts. But the focus that I really enjoyed was that aspect, that invitation that, well, if you don't hold on to that negative thought and you don't give it energy for more than 18 seconds, it's not going to impact you. And even if you do, the impact isn't really that minor. It's when you hold it for, 18 minutes, that's when it starts to kind of have more momentum. But a lot of us do that innocently because we don't really know how this game of thought consciousness creates form works.
So another piece that we can bring into that, which I love what you've shared for sure, is choice. The beauty of choice, the beauty of free will. And we can move from our head to our heart in a second. So finding joy, finding creation is a heart-based thing, right? So it's not thinking about what is going to bring us joy. It's that feeling sensation of sleep or chocolate or seeing our dog after work. I'll make it through my day because my dog will be there or my partner will be there. This thing that just opens your heart. And it's like, oh, I can go there anytime I want to. So if something else comes in, oh, I have a choice to live where I want to. And it's right here with me. So is it looking at the future? No, it's feeling what it is that is valuable to you and holding that for 18 seconds or whatever you choose to, and letting it start to build in you, build property in you, build a space in you that's real, and not just letting it flip through. It's like, oh, this is my reality.
I love that invitation to play with the choices that we have to direct the energy that we are paying attention to. And I talk about how we don't control the thoughts that come to us, but we have an influence on the thinking we have about those thoughts.
Or the emotional reaction that we have to those thoughts. Because really, I believe that thoughts come out of emotions.
And you can,
they're a resistive energy or whatever. The thought comes, most of them come out of fear, right?
and so for people that are familiar with me, you can also look at it the other way, that emotions are a reflection of the thoughts that we are focusing on, consciously or unconsciously. And so depending on which
both ways, sure.
Depending on which side of the conversation you're looking at, there's no right or wrong in that comment. Right. And so there's an element where what we're inviting you guys to play with is this idea that you have a choice on the energy that you want to focus your attention on. And if something comes into your emotions or your thought process and it doesn't feel good, well, you can choose to shift that. And I know that that's easier said than done sometimes, myself included. But it is a direction, again, that I point myself towards, where I know that even if I shift that by a small, tiny amount, by just becoming aware of it, that already has an impact on my quality of life. I have a slightly better quality of life than I would have had if I wasn't aware of it. And so those little tiny shifts in our awareness and the choices that we make will have a large ripple effect on the overall quality of our life. And I love that invitation, Susan. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Here's another good one too. I invite you. So if you get into a pattern, I'll call it an emotional pattern, like, oh my God, my life is a burden, and you feel that in your body, or you get into a fear, I have a job interview, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? And you feel that in your body, something that we call negative. I don't think it's necessarily negative. It's just something that you prefer not to keep going on. Imagine you're on a train, because often we may have a thought, but more often than not, we're sitting in a feeling, whether it's resistance, burden, fear, anxiety, concern, lack, any of that. We're sitting in it. It's in our physical capacity. I could go into how it creates every manner of physical disease and discomfort and limitation. Because I help people work at a soul level to release those patterns that you have had chronically physically, which we can do, and I've done it for years with people and myself from a soul perspective. Anyway, so imagine you're on a train when you're in this fear. Let's think, do you want to give an example? What would be a fear of, I'm not going to get the job, or I'm not going to know where to go in my destiny this year, okay? I'm not going to know. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. That's a good one. I don't know how I'm going to do this, whether it's money, work out a relationship, figure out how to move, be where you want to, get the career you want, the destiny you want. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I want you to feel that. I'm trying to get something that's generalized enough that everyone can do this. Feel that sensation. I don't know how I'm going to do that. And feel the constriction in it, because there will be. Okay? Feel that constriction. Now, when you feel that constriction, hold it just for a moment. I want you to imagine you're on a train, and that train is completely focused on taking you where this constriction is holding you and taking you there. So it's like, okay, if you hold this constriction and hold this constriction, and the train of this constriction takes you, where is it going to take you? Where is it going to take you? Feel how it, future self, so to speak, where it would take you. Okay? Great. All right, now you get to the station and you're like, oh my God, this is going to take me to nowhere. This is going to feel worse and worse and worse, right? It doesn't feel better the more you get into it, but it's important to go into it to feel what's going on in your body. Then you get to the station and you're like, oh my God, there's another train over there that's going where I want to go. There's a sign that says, this train will take you to your destiny. This train will take you to your soul purpose. This train will take you to your new healing practice. It's just sitting there. And you go, I want to be on that train. I want to be on that train. So people talk about jumping timelines. It's never quite landed with me, because it's like, wait, you can't jump a timeline, because when you're jumping, there is no time. We're beyond time and space. Okay, fine. Anyway, but that's a mental construct. So jump to the other train and go, I want to be on that train. And you jump on the train and it goes, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. And you get on that train and feel how that feels for a moment. I don't know where I'm going, but I know where I'm going. I know where I want to go. You start to feel that in your body. You're surrounded by people, conductors, food, the whole thing. It's like, yeah, we're celebrating you going there.
The fiesta.
The fiesta, exactly. And then
right.
You go, oh, I think I'd rather be on that one. And you drop the old train because it just doesn't feel good anymore. And you have an option. This is part of creation and the creating of the fiesta. And you start with creative imagination on the inside. You have to start on the inside, but you create it so-called in imagination. So it's a fun little exercise to go, okay, if I go down this road any further, let's shift. Okay, great.
Beautiful. So again, invitation to anybody, if you guys have any questions or would like, Susan to talk about anything that's coming up for you, please play with us. We're here for you guys. So, I mean, she and I can talk forever. So we've got this on our end, but you guys are invited to come and play with us. So
Somebody's mentioning in the chat that that's how I felt, is that sense of burden. So as we're moving along, do you feel less of that sense of burden with the two things that I just presented as possibilities to move out of that? Because burden is a huge place collectively and individually. So let us know what you need now. If you're like, well, no, this burden is like so intense, like those were just silly compared to what I'm feeling. And that's fine to say that, okay? Because we can go deeper. Because everybody holds that place. Some people say in the relationship world that men come in with a sense of burden. Life is a burden. So our male side, it's not just men, our masculine side will hold that in the DNA. Life is a burden. Now, does that mean it's the feminine side that creates life as a fiesta? No, it's life energy. But there's this DNA thing that says life is a burden. It came with the fall. It came with the beginning of things. It came with our foundation and structure of movement, etc. forward. It's like, that's survival at its worst.
I would probably play with shifting that language a bit because it just sounds so like horrible to think that the male energy is burdened in its design. I wouldn't agree with that at all. I like the idea of where it's pointing towards.
Yeah, the human male, definitely, just the survival male.
I like the idea of playing with the idea that as a male energy, there's a survival instinct in it. And
sure.
And that I think is positive and affirming and supportive. The idea of thinking that the male energy is burdened, I think is an innocently placed limitation on idea or belief of what we are fighting against. And I think that a lot of the direction that we're all pointing towards, and you mentioned this yourself earlier, that we're shifting in this amazing consciousness towards a different way of thinking. Absolutely. I think that that's part of the invitation that we're going into, is to be presented with ideas and notions that just don't resonate with us anymore, where we're saying, no, that's not my reality anymore. It might have been 20 years ago, but and again, we're talking about choice. I'm personally choosing not to accept that description that you heard from wherever you heard it. I'm like, that doesn't play with me. What plays with me is the idea, okay, well, let me see how that resonates with me. That resonates with me in the sense that, okay, as a male energy, there's an element towards protection, survival, strength. And those for me are all affirming. And so that's what I would kind of say, okay, well, let me take that on board and be like, okay, how does that resonate with me? And so again, this plays to what you were saying earlier about, we can utilize our free will and our choice to accept or reject using our discernment, which is something we all talk about, the importance of discernment.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I think why I bring that up is for us to realize, A, you're not alone. She's raising her hand. A, you're not alone. B, you start to see that, wow, it's just an old idea that we've had about life, that it's a burden, and we're transcending that. And I would say that actually true masculine energy is even more than just provide, produce, protect, right? It's honor, respect, and hold sacred. Whenever I mention that to anyone, they're like, yeah, that's what I want from my own masculine, is to honor everything I am. From the masculine in the world, whether it's your female boss or again, a male partner, whatever it is, I want to feel honored, respected, and held sacred. And that to me is the highest level that we know at this point is possible for divine masculine. But the old pattern was burden. So when you feel yourself in burden, you go, whoa, that is old and I'm not doing it anymore.
No more. I want the fiesta.
I want the fiesta.
Caroline, are you okay if I put you on video, or do you want to stay in the audio?
Actually, I would prefer audio.
Perfect.
Can you hear
Go
me
for
well?
it. Yep, go for it.
Hi, Daniel, and hi, Susan. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
When you said burden, I'm so glad you said that, because it does feel like I felt like I was alone with this feeling. And it does feel better to know that everybody has kind of that energy into them. And the way I had a burden is just, I felt like I have to do my income taxes right now. It's the income tax period here in Canada. So I have a burden, I have to do that. And then I'm trying to always eat light. I have to eat like vegetables and fruits. And I feel like it's a burden to always take care of my health. And, I can't go out and eat fries and drink alcohol or anything. So that's the burden I felt. And I felt like this burden is going on for the rest of my life, But what happened is I got a message. I always keep getting messages like from different places, like Instagram or whatever. And the message I had was, look at your things you have to do or things that you're struggling with. Look at them as blessings, and they're blessings for you. They're gifts. So that's an old saying. Everyone heard that before. So, but I did take that perspective on, and I started doing my income taxes, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to be an expert at this. So I did, I think I worked like 20 hours. I just double checked everything. And at the end, I was so happy and I felt so good. I had so much joy because I did overcome all of the confusing numbers that were in front of me. And I was able to mix and to match everything at the end. So I'm really happy that you said that, and you brought in the same message that we should bring in joy in our lives, and that everyone can feel a burden. But I would like for you to elaborate on that. Like, how can we try to overcome these feelings of burden?
Sure.
More. Oh, the other question I had another question. It's just like you said so many great things. No, the other question is about the train. So that's the tool you gave us. So to be on the train and go into the bad feeling, but do we have to go on that train, or can we just say, okay, this is the feeling that I don't want to live. Let's just hop on the right train right now, on the good train? Or do you think it's important to really go through the process of going deeper into the bad feeling or bad emotion or whatever?
Sure. Okay, let's start with the burden piece. Great question.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so I have to reel back because I'm in the energy of the question you just asked. I should have stopped you and we worked with one and then the other, but I didn't. So how do you get to the joy when you're in the burden? Well, you can think of something like, how am I going to make this, just because it's a new phrase you've probably never heard before, how am I going to make this a fiesta? How am I going to make this a fiesta? How am I going to make this fun, lighthearted? I heard what you said about blessing, which is beautiful. And you can also say, how am I going to see this as a creative challenge? When your computer's not working, okay, let's get out my male energy that says this is a creative challenge. I can't wait to see how I'm going to work this out. Woohoo! And you lift it to another level. I've had some, I think of it, I had my printer not working, my address book not working. I'm like, okay, this is a creative challenge here. All righty then, let's do this. And get into another mode instead of sinking into the burden of this computer that's not working for me and you've just taken my day away or whatever it is. So you get into creative challenge, okay, which is great. And then you go into, well, let's make this fun. Often what I'll do is I'll put some music on, okay? I'll put some music on and it'll get me into a different space. And it's like, oh, I'm going to come at it from a different space. Then I come back to it and the address book is working. I come back to it and it's like, oh, I see, it's the paper that's caught in the printer. What do you know? Let's get this paper out of here. And I start twisting around and getting the paper out of there. You deliberately move into an energy that is much easier and lighter and something you enjoy, right? Energy, whether it's music or movement or bringing your guides in, help me here, but not out of, help me, I'm in a burden. It's like, help me because I love you guys. You are so awesome. I love having you with me. I know we can do this. I know we can work this out. I'm here at this level. You're at that level. Let's do this. So you lighten up about the whole thing. Okay. Question number 2.
Before we go on to question number 2,
Yeah.
I'd love to add a little bit to that as well, because
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing about, any burden, you can look at it as a challenge, and the challenge is about problem solving, and that can be fun. And so that's one way that you can kind of look at things. And another thing that you can do, which is what the council and Sarah Landon via Sarah Landon talks about all the time, is take 3 deep breaths, get present in the moment, reconnect with your power, and then go forward from there. And that in and of itself will shift your perspective, shift your awareness, shift your point of view, so that you're seeing the situation from a different place. And so you can play with both of those.
Yeah, no, I do love that, but I will put an addendum to it. Often we can't find our power in that moment. 3 breaths just don't do it. If we get really frustrated, I know that one. When I get really frustrated, I have to just lift into another energy versus trying to find my power because it's not there. I feel completely helpless and hopeless. Maybe it's a female thing, but females go into helpless and hopeless way too fast. We're like, God, oh my God, I can't do this computer thing. I give up. And your power source has dissolved completely. So that's why it's sort of like, I got to get back into creation. And that is my power source. Again, it may be female. My power source is my ability to create.
So a lot of this is about finding something that works for you. And again, using discernment, taking what, what Susann mentioned, taking what I've mentioned, feeling into what resonates with you and experimenting and finding what's right for you.
Yep.
I will invite anyone and everyone that's listening. We collectively as where we've been and what we are shifting away from is a perception of limitation and going into a reality of abundance, leaning away from what I can't do to stepping into the position of I am source energy. What can't I do?
Yeah, right.
There is nothing I can't do if I recognize that I am the energy that creates worlds and universes and dimensions. And I know that this is really hard to kind of put our finger on, but again, I talk about this because this is a direction that I'm pointing myself towards. And I'm not there yet, but that's the direction that I'm pointing myself in. And if taking 3 breaths doesn't work for you because you can't connect with your power that way and you need to put on music, perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would invite you to recognize that as you allow yourself to expand your awareness and your ability to connect with who you are, that's going to become easier and easier and easier. And don't feel like you need to put on the music in order to find your power. Don't feel like you need to do the happy dance to find your power. That's just a tool that kind of helps point you in a direction where you're able to connect with it. But the more you find that within yourself, the easier it is to tap into it when we lose our focus. And I talk about my mother all the time, where I lose my patience with her constantly. And when I'm in my rage of impatience and anger towards her, and I know that it's not her creating it, it's my interpretations, my thoughts, and all of my baggage and issues, but that doesn't help in the moment. Just taking 3 breaths allows me to kind of calm down a little bit, maybe not entirely, But like I say, if you are able to shift your perspective just by a little tiny bit, you start to recognize that you can shift everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you have the power to shift anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an invitation that as you start to shift even by a little bit, give yourself that gratitude and that appreciation, that recognition that, hey, you know, I was feeling horrible at a miserable 87 down the darkness scale. And I took some deep breaths and now I'm at an 86 or an 85. That's huge.
Yeah.
The fact that you did anything to change your perspective and your feeling state shows you and gives you evidence that you have the power to shift and change anything and everything. And so you start to kind of build that muscle. You start to build that awareness, that experience, that ability to shift and change. Have it be play music, do a little happy dance, go out to nature, just quiet the mind, go cooking, clean the house, you know, whatever it is that allows you to kind of like, you know, find yourself again. But the more conscious you are of the fact that you live in a state of well-being, that is your default state. That is who you are. There's nothing you need to do to get there because that is where you are starting from. Then that gives you that foundation to pay less attention to the noise that distracts us away from feeling it when we get there. And so I wanted to add that little bit.
Great. Fantastic. Fantastic. I totally am there with you completely. That's what we want to get to, that we can just shift it in a nanosecond and recognize that we're a grand creator and we can come into our power anytime. Yeah. I think I was feeling more of Caroline's energy around what she was working with around the deeper level of burden. But I agree. That's our goal, is to be able to take 3 breaths and be back where we need to be. Yeah. Beautiful.
I don't know if you remember the second part of the question. I need to. Okay, perfect. Go for it.
It was about the train. Okay. Do you need to always go down the train? There are particular patterns in us that we get to know way too well that resurface. And you're talking about something like burden. That's a deeper pattern that will resurface, right? If it's just a thought like, oh my gosh, I don't like that person's hat. Why are they wearing that hat? You don't have to get on a train, okay? If you're feeling that sense of, God, I don't know where I'm going to go with my life this year, go on the train. It's a deeper thing. If you feel it in your gut, it's a deeper place that wants to be transformed. So just jumping off that doesn't resolve it, because that part of you that's in it's in fear and resistance, basically. Okay, if we feel burdened, we're feeling a resistance to the fiesta. We're just like, oh my God, this life is too much. We're not in line with life, right? So if we're feeling that and you can feel it in your body, then it's important to be able to transform it. You have to own it, understand it, be with it. It's not just an inner child, so to speak, because we have a zillion inner children. It's just a pattern in us that we've gotten into. So we have that pattern. We go and we start to realize, oh my gosh, if I stay on this train, it's going to take me to, and it's like, no. So that no feeling in you helps you to shift into what is yes, because it's your power. The power is, no, that doesn't work for me, versus, oh my God, life's a burden, it's up in your head, and life's a burden. It's like, no, life is a burden and my body feels awful. I don't want to hold that anymore. What I want to hold is same energy of passion, is a passion for something. Your and that in your abdominal area wants to be shifted to yes, and let's go for it, and passion towards and honoring. Okay, we have to shift it where it is. So it can take a little bit more to do that, you see. And it's worth it. It takes 2-3 minutes, right? And it's clear that that is not working for you anymore. which
Yeah,
catapults.
that's so good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to go to work in about, hello, I have to go to work in about 2 minutes. So that's why I just hopped on real quick to say thank you for your answers. And it's really good what you said, to go in and really feel it, like, no, I don't want to feel this. And I've done that when I was younger. Like, I was just so sad and desperate. And then I would go deep in that feeling, and you go deeper in it, and you're like curious, basically. You want to know what it feels like. And once you go down there, you realize, like, it can go even further down. Do you really want this? No. So that's when you shift to the okay, no, now you know what you want. You want to be on the fun train, the fiesta.
Caroline, before
So
you run off, I would love to
yes.
just add a little bit for you to play with, which is if you feel that you don't want to go down dark and to feel the depth of that emotion, then don't. If you feel like that's going to be helpful, then do. Give yourself the ability and the power to recognize that this exercise is presented as a guide and as a reference for you to play with. But if you, for whatever the reason on that day, feel like I don't want to go down the dark train before I jump off into a bright, fluffy train, then don't. You have that ability to use your discernment, follow what feels powerful for you, follow what feels right for you. There's a lot of techniques that talk about feeling what you want to, what you're feeling, so that you can understand it and find the gratitude within it. How is this for you? What is this doing? How is this benefiting you? And then giving it over to the light and letting the light dissolve it and release it and work it through. There's a lot of techniques around that. You know, the idea of using a train as a metaphor to kind of jump tracks, I think, is a beautiful metaphor. I come from a perspective and point of view where I don't want to go dark deep into my heavy emotions. Why would I want to put my hand in the flame to know that the flame hurts? So I don't do that. I don't put my hand in the fire, but I know that putting my hand in the fire will hurt me. But sometimes, I do want to put my hand near the fire because it reminds me of something that points me in a direction that I want to go towards. So the contrast is there to help us know what we want and where we want to go to. If you are clear with where you want to go to, you don't need the contrast. But if you're still trying to figure out where you're going and kind of, what do I want? Well, let me look at what I don't want in order to identify what I do want. So you can utilize it as a tool, not as this is a recipe and this is what you need to do and this is what you need to follow every time. It's for you to kind of play with and maneuver and manipulate it, and play with that idea of contrast. If you know where you're going, you don't need to go into the what you don't want. You don't need it because you already have a clear direction of what you want. If you're still a bit wishy-washy, then go into what you don't want to help give you clarity of what you do want. Hopefully that's helpful. And so have fun at work. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you coming to play with us.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kind of come back to a comment that Wendy put into the chat, which is she looks forward to applying the train exercise. Thank you. I've been practicing noticing my patterned thoughts and releasing them, but this exercise will take it to the next level and provides a route to directing my thoughts and emotions to create what I desire. And I think that's beautiful. I think that that's lovely. I think it's a wonderful way of looking at this metaphor of jumping trains. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you, Wendy, for your comment. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, what shall we do next in our
Good question. And so again, invitation to anybody and everybody, feel free to kind of, ping us if you're interested. What I would love to do is kind of turn it over to your team a little bit and kind of say, what would they like to share if you're willing to be put on the spot a little bit?
That is being put on the spot. Yes. Okay. They've actually been with us. I don't feel myself separate, like when I share these things. And that's partly because I'm writing this book on intuition and speaking about the fact that our guides are aspect of us. So let's just talk about that, because that's what they want to bring forward, is this feeling that they, whoever they are, can be very misconstrued, but your guidance, and Caroline was talking about messages she gets, etc., are an aspect of you at a higher vibration. And we're bringing that forward more and more these days, because it's very important to move out of separation. We used to talk about surrender, and there is an element to being open to receive. And they're saying receiving us is the most important piece, but how you relate to us is the most valuable piece. So instead of seeing us as something that you're going to ask questions of, or get information about, or wisdom from, feel that sense that you're saying to us, share with me this larger divine intelligence. Share with me. That's what I'm saying to my guides. Share with me. Like you're developing a relationship with us. You're developing a relatedness, communion. Instead of thinking of it as just, I'm going to pray for something, I want to commune with this beingness of me that is beyond what I consciously know right now. And in that wanting to relate to something more pristine in its connection, you're going to feel us as a part of you. And any relationship that you develop, you start with, hi, how are you? And then you start to be with that person, right? Whether it's a new baby, a new puppy, a new relationship to nature, a new plant that you buy, a new person that you date, a new friend that comes along, a new activity that you move into. It starts with, hi, you're now in my world. And you start to develop that relationship by bringing us in as a relationship with you. Like you become a we. We become a we with you. And I want you, and we want you to feel as though you are this expanded dimensionality. So every time you want to ask a question or get connected to us, feel yourself, and everyone can do this right now, feel yourself just expanding as energy, as light. Let's start with, okay, they're showing me putting a light in your spine. Just let it, turn on a light in your spine and let it turn on. Ding. You might see where it's not turning on. Don't focus on that right now. Focus where it is turning on. Is it behind your heart? Is it all the way up and down into your neck and head? Feel that light. And the stronger that light, the more it will, like any lamp that you turn on, the stronger the bulb, the more it will move its radiant field out. So just feel that light in your spine. And breathe that light out so it becomes, maybe it's a mist of light out beyond you, all around you, above you, around you, beneath you. Feel that expanded space. Feel it particularly in your heart. As we were saying before, when you are wanting to connect with us, we are heart to heart in communion with you. So feel this light and this mist of lightness in your heart. And say, you are welcome here. I don't know you consciously right now. You are welcome here as a part of me, as a part of my light body, you might say. And from that space, you're going to ask for deeper understanding about some area in your life that you want to expand into. So feel yourself in that expanded space. And just say, I'd like to understand from you something about this area of my life. Insight, a metaphor, a symbol, an energy. I know it's an energy of me that wants to come forward. I know it's an energy of me that wants to come forward. And feel what starts to happen. My team is always bringing forth ways to get there. The ways, the how, the means. Feel that as an essence of you and your soul that wants to come in. Because if you say you want something like financial, more finances, you want a quality of spirit to come in. And they're inviting you into this quality of spirit. That you truly want at the core of this area in your life. You want resurrection in, transformation in, newness in, fiesta in. If you want to share anything of their experience or questions about their experience of this dimension of them, which is what my guides are more into helping people to fish than to teach you how to fish versus fish for you. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was beautiful. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Reminds me of something that I heard early on in my learning to channel process, where I was told that when we are able to recognize that we are them and they are us, then channeling is easier. And I know that many of us, and myself included in the past, viewed the spiritual guides as these beings that were so much higher and so much better than us. And the reminder that was presented to me throughout my path has been recognizing that they're not any greater or more knowledgeable than we are. And to view them as our colleagues and our counterparts and our friends, as opposed to our, someone that we're, looking up to. It's, look to the side and see us next to you. We are with you. We are you. And I love that invitation to connect with them at that level where they're a colleague and a counterpart and a friend that is learning with us and through us as much as we are learning with them and through them.
So it's like, yeah, like you're saying, they're saying, be with me where I am. And we are saying, be with me where I am. Yeah. And then it's a collaboration because we have factors, they have factors, and we collaborate and co-create together. Yeah.
It's
Which
beautiful.
is the fun of it. That's what we want in life. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So anybody else, if you want to share your experience of that middle meditation, feel free to share.
Quietly digesting.
I want to go back a little bit to, again, the topic that you brought forward, to the last part of that topic, set your soul free. I love that as a subject matter. Let's play with that a little bit.
Okay. Everything we're talking about is about setting your soul free. Our human dimensions of separation from our soulfulness are the prison that has been a protective mechanism around our soul. We've built it over the years, over the centuries, from a long time ago, to protect the gold of us. And it made sense. So many could think of their childhood and times when it was very important to protect your gold because it wasn't understood, it wasn't seen, it wasn't valued, right? Your parents it didn't feel like they loved you for who you were, so you better not bring the gold of who you are forward. So setting your soul free is being brave enough in this year to take a risk, be innovative, and say, I'm going to set my soul free and listen to that deeper place in myself versus letting my protection mechanism that was keeping it safe before, but it's not working for me anymore, at the guard, at the door, right? So setting your soul free is allowing the depth and breadth of you, the true essence of you, honoring that and listening to that and not letting these other voices take over, so to speak. Yeah.
I feel like there's an invitation that we're being presented with to shift the way in which we have lived our lives and viewed our experience as a human, and to expand that. And for me, setting my soul free is about allowing myself to go beyond my ideas of what I'm capable of and into this infinite potential that exists within me and within all of us. And for me, that's the invitation. Setting my soul free is about letting my soul recognize the fact that it is source energy and it is limitless. And let's play from that space. Let's create from that space. And like I've said, I'm not there yet, but this is where I'm pointing myself towards. And I'm really excited to know that I will get there. And I think that for me, this is the year that we're in. Is many of us, especially those of us that are on this path, anybody that's listening to this conversation is already on this path to recognizing that you are able to let your soul free. And I love that invitation from you. Again, Susan, thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. And one of the ways to do that happens to be the exercise we just did. When you allow yourself, your light to expand beyond you, you become bigger in that and holding that you're bigger than your humanness. You feel that sense of expanse and less limitation. And that's your soulfulness. It's not limited at all. So it's just as simple as I'm going to expand into more of myself and bring light into that. Then you don't have to have this protection mechanism of not letting things in, so to speak. If you're expanding out as light, things can't come in. Not because you're protecting, but if there's no room in the inn, there's no room in the inn. You're already filled with this largeness of you, and nothing else matters. You're not having to guard yourself, be on hypervigilance. It's a day and time for hypervigilance coming to the fore. It's like, wow, we've all been living in hypervigilance. May not feel like it in this moment, but we have been. What do I need to look out for? What doesn't match with my energy, et cetera, et cetera. When we're in the wholeness of ourself, we honor that somebody else may not be in the wholeness of their self. It doesn't match us, but it doesn't matter. We're complete in that moment. So we're not having to guard it. We feel it. It's a feeling sensation. It's not an emotion. It's a feeling sensation. Yeah. And people have dropped into that, even though they're not talking about it. I can feel that they've dropped into more of that sensation and can listen from a larger space.
It reminds me of something I heard recently about imagining ourselves shining so brightly that every single aspect of this planet is able to see us, and expanding that light so that everything in the solar system can see us, and then everything in the universe can see us. And I love that kind of idea of shining your light so brightly that it's, you know, expanding beyond space and time. It's a fun kind of little, again, exercise to play with. Is, you know, you are already shining so brightly that you are visible to anything and everything beyond this dimension. But being conscious of that, bringing that into your awareness, I think is what Susann is referring to, or I'm, you know, kind of playing with.
So it's not a concept. I am one with the universe is a concept. It's like, no, I can feel that sensation. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Cool.
And so I want to, you know, kind of give a little bit of time for you to kind of talk about your offers, because you've got a couple pretty amazing offers. I know that you've got an upcoming retreat that you're inviting people to, you know, with a discount. So if anybody's interested in the retreat, reach out to Susann directly.
Wants to come to that retreat, I can feel it. So don't be shy. I don't know how to access that special offer. I realized. Are you putting it in the chat, or
it is in the website, special invitation button on the website.
Where's the website? Yikes.
Channelingspirit.net. So what you've got offered here is a 20% savings on your upcoming immersion training, Feel at Home on Earth in Your Universal Self.
You can probably talk about that without having to see the offer,
Yep.
because I know it.
Yep. And then the second thing that you're offering is a $200 discount for the Sedona retreat adventure. And I'm sure you can talk about that without having to see it too.
I'll say fiesta. Both of them are fiestas. We'll talk about the retreat first. That's April 1st to the 6th in Sedona, which is a fiesta vortex for sure. But I've been going to Sedona for 4 years and doing retreats for 8. It's one of my happy places to do retreats. We did Costa Rica, Spain, and now Sedona. And there's something magical, as we know, and that's why we gather in summits like this. There's something magical about coming together with others. Now, doing it in person is like over the top, the best. To be able to celebrate each other, because that's part of what we do, and bring forth the depth of our soul essences together, and have it be an adventure, and be in the energy of Sedona, and be taken care of for those 6 days. I mean, it's remarkable. It's what I call the ultimate vacation, because you don't have to think about anything. You just have to get there and let your soul and heart go, yes, that's for me. I get to find out what it's going to open up. And I have a website, soulradianceretreats.net, and I'm sure that's on the website there, that will give you even more flavor of it. But fiesta, I mean, part of it is laughter. We don't get to laugh a lot, but boy, during this retreat, do we ever laugh? We laugh at ourselves, and we laugh at life, and we just laugh, which is so transformative, right? To do that, to be feel loved and held by a group that's not a huge group. It's a very intimate group, which I love, and that's why I do them this way. But it's fantastic, and it is transformation through joy. Transformation through joy. Sorry, I mumbled that word. And very nutritional food, and we will take care of all your needs. Dietarily, we know we have to do that these days, and that's fantastic. And then we will do adventures into the Sedona Cathedral Rock and vortexes and all of that kind of thing, which is chance of a lifetime. Yeah, it was the first time I'd ever seen orbs before. It was like, oh. And then we did a campfire one night, and somebody took some pictures, and there were these beings behind us. It was just like so awesome to go, they are real. They're really real. They were bright green. It's like just to have those tangible experiences.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing.
share with others is fantastic. So there's that, and I'll zip it up. Contact me, Susann@soulmastery.net, if you are interested, and we can talk about anything you want to about it.
And that's Susann with two N's. So
Yes.
SUSANN.
At soulmastery.net, or you can Google soulmastery.net. You'll find me. You'll find me. Thanks, Daniel, for that. And then the immersion. I call it immersion. It's a 21-day equinox immersion. Feel at home in your universal self. Well, this is the ultimate bridge between your larger dimensions and here. And it's particularly for what we term empaths, who don't feel understood and seen here, who don't feel like there's a place for them here, are often saying, ET phone home. You may not be feeling that a lot, but you have that place in you. It's like, wow, I really love being here and I want to contribute, but there's these parts of me that are like, I don't know, it's getting pretty creepy out there. But it's to help you in your empathic nature, not to be a people pleaser, to release that whole pattern, to not take on people's energies. That's a huge piece of what we'll be doing, because I've learned, my guides have given me ways to work with that and help you understand why you do that and how you don't have to be on that train and can come to another train about how to use your energy and what it's really designed for, besides taking on people's energies. And it's just a soul challenge you've had, and that's understandable. But we're going to change all of that and allow you to talk about set your soul free. This is a real way. Both of these are real ways to set your soul free. So feel what you're guided towards. And it's a 20% discount on that immersion. Did I cover it pretty well? There's a lot of writing there. So I know
Beautiful. Yeah. So anybody that's interested in this, please go to the special invitation on the website.
Yes.
If you have any questions, reach out to Susann. And if you're interested in the Sedona retreat, which sounds really amazing to me, reach out to her, and you guys can chat about that.
Yeah.
So we still have a little bit of time. If anybody has any questions or comments, or if anything that you want to kind of wrap up with, Susann, you've got a little bit of space. If there's anything else that you want to share, and it's okay if not.
No, I'm feeling like it's just a blank right now. It's like we've shared what is ours to share, they say, and it's for you to receive, digest, integrate, and create your innovative ways to bring your new self after this time together today forward.
Beautiful. And so with that, we will wrap this session up. So thank you again, Susann, for coming to play with us again. It's an honor to have you.
Absolutely. Great to be with you, Daniel. I love what you're doing with everyone, and I love that we co-created this together.
I appreciate that. Like I say, it's an honor to have you back. And for everybody that's listening live, thank you for coming to play with us. Those of you that are listening to the recording, either in the replays or in the YouTube podcast, thank you for being with us. If there's any questions that you have about Susann and her work, soulmastery.net. Definitely reach out to her. There'll be a link in the description wherever it is that you're coming across us. And the special offers are really, for people that are attending this live and in the replays. But if you happen to be listening to this, much later on, and you want to find out what she's doing and what she's offering, she's always doing retreats. So you can find that on her website. You can always reach out to her and say, hey, I want to come play with you in one of your amazing retreats. And I'm sure she's going to say, come on in.
Yeah.
So again, thank you guys for being here. I will leave you guys with being spirit, being human, simply being from love. And we will see you in about 30 minutes with Chiara Prato, who's going to be talking about conversations with spirit. So I will see.
Oops, somebody just asked the dates of the retreat. April 1st to the 6th. April 1st to the 6th.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So Kitty, feel free to talk to me. April 1st to the 6th.
In the special invitation button, there's two offers on the page. The bottom offer is the retreat. There's a link in that description that takes you to a page that gives you a lot more information about the retreat. But again, the invitation is for you to reach out directly to Susann, and kind of take it from there.
Yeah, great.
So
Thank
beautiful.
you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you want to move to
No,
what's happening in a half hour.
absolutely no hurries. I've got plenty of time. No worries, no hurries. And
Good.
so again, everybody that's here, thank you guys so much for being here, for playing with us.
Yeah.
And we will see you soon. And again, I will leave you with being spirit, being human, simply being from love. Thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more, have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.